This is all for justice.
The text message that destroyed my marriage arrived at exactly 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, right in the middle of Charles Legrand's pompous announcement about quarterly profits. I should have been paying attention to my father-in-law's corporate theater, but Miranda's phone kept buzzing on the conference table like an angry wasp. Our smart home division has exceeded expectations by 300%, Charles declared, his silver hair catching the boardroom's LED lights. At 65, he still commanded attention like some corporate king holding court. This success is entirely due to innovative leadership and fresh perspectives. Fresh perspectives? Right. I'd been designing the core automation systems for 6 years, working 16-hour days, sacrificing weekends and holidays. But apparently, my perspective had grown stale somewhere between making Charles rich and keeping his daughter happy. Miranda's phone buzzed again. She was sitting 3 seats down, looking radiant in her tailored blazer, playing the perfect executive daughter. Her marketing presentations always dazzled the board, but the real magic happened in my basement lab where I coded the algorithms that made everything work. Which brings me to our new promotion, Charles continued, his eyes scanning the room with practiced authority. Our Director of Innovation position will go to someone who embodies our company's future vision. I straightened in my chair. This was it. 6 years of being the invisible genius, the undervalued son-in-law who made everyone else look brilliant. Finally, recognition. Congratulations to Lily Legrand, our new Director of Innovation. The words hit me like a physical blow. Lily? Charles's 28-year-old niece who'd been here exactly 4 weeks. 4 weeks longer than Adam Pierce's fidelity to his last girlfriend, I'd bet. Polite applause filled the room. Lily beamed from her seat, her entitled smile stretching across her face like she'd just won the lottery, which in a way she had. Thank you, Uncle Charles, she gushed. I'm so excited to bring fresh energy to this position. Fresh energy. The position I'd been promised. The role I'd earned through years of technical brilliance while she'd been posting Instagram photos of her brunch adventures. Miranda's phone buzzed again, 3 times in 5 minutes. I glanced over, and for just a moment I saw her screen light up with a preview. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Neil will never... She quickly flipped the phone over, but not before I caught the sender's name. Adam Pierce. Adam Pierce. The smarmy innovation consultant Charles had hired 2 months ago. Drives a Porsche, wears expensive suits, and has the kind of confident smirk that makes you want to punch walls. Miranda had mentioned him a few times, always with an odd brightness in her voice. Neil, Charles's voice cut through my thoughts. As our senior engineer, I'm sure you'll provide Lily with all the technical support she needs. Technical support. 6 years of marriage to his daughter, 6 years of building his company's core technology, and I was being demoted to technical support for his unqualified niece. Of course, I managed, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. I'm always happy to help family. The meeting dragged on for another 20 minutes. Charles discussed market expansion, quarterly projections, and strategic partnerships while I sat there watching my career implode in slow motion. Miranda kept checking her phone, trying to be subtle but failing miserably. When we finally adjourned, I walked calmly to my office, closed the door, and pulled out my laptop. My employment contract was buried in a folder labeled Legal Documents. I'd negotiated it myself 6 years ago, back when I was naive enough to think family loyalty meant something. There it was, Section 12.3, Intellectual Property Rights. Any technology developed independently or with personal resources remained the property of the developer. I'd insisted on that clause, much to Charles's annoyance at the time. Smart move, past Neil. Present Neil was about to put it to good use. I drafted my resignation letter with surgical precision. Dear Charles, effective immediately, I am resigning from my position as senior engineer. As per Section 12.3 of my employment agreement, I will be retaining all rights to intellectual property developed using my personal resources and time, including, but not limited to, the core automation algorithms, security protocols, and integration frameworks that comprise approximately 85% of our current product line. I wish you and the family the best of luck with your future endeavors. Sincerely, Neil Harper. I printed it, signed it, and walked back to the boardroom where Charles was still holding court with Lily and a few other executives. Charles, I said, interrupting his explanation of market penetration strategies, I have something for you. He looked annoyed at the interruption. Can it wait, Neil? We're discussing important matters. This is important. I placed the letter on the polished conference table. My resignation, effective immediately. The room went silent. Charles picked up the letter, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and finally rage. "You can't be serious," he sputtered. "You can't just... The intellectual property clause doesn't mean..." "It means exactly what it says," I replied calmly. 85% of your product line was developed in my home workshop, on my own time, using my personal equipment. I own it. Lily looked confused. "Uncle Charles, what does this mean?" What it meant was that without my algorithms, their smart home systems would be about as intelligent as a brick. But I didn't explain that. I just smiled. "Good luck with the fresh perspectives," I said, and walked out. I was halfway to the elevator when I heard rapid footsteps behind me. "Neil, wait." Miranda caught up, slightly breathless. What the hell was that about? That was about 6 years of being treated like hired help in my own family. Your own family? Neil, you're being dramatic. Lily deserves a chance to prove herself. Lily couldn't code her way out of a paper bag if it came with instructions and a tutorial video. Miranda's phone buzzed. Again, she ignored it, but I saw her jaw tighten. "Look, I know you're disappointed about the promotion, but..." "Disappointed?" I laughed, and it came out harsher than I intended. "Miranda, I built this company's entire technological foundation. Every smart lock, every security system, every automated feature that makes your father rich. I created that. And he just handed my job to his unqualified niece. She's not unqualified. She has an MBA from... She has a degree in business theory. I have 6 years of practical results." Her phone buzzed again. This time she glanced at it reflexively, and I saw her face change. A slight flush, a barely contained smile. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked. "What? Nobody, just work stuff." She shoved the phone into her purse. "Neil, please don't do anything rash. Maybe we can talk to Daddy about creating a new position for you, something with more recognition." "I don't want recognition anymore, Miranda. I want out." The elevator arrived with a soft ding. As the doors opened, Lily appeared from around the corner, her face flushed with excitement. "Neil," she called out, "I just wanted to say, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I know you're probably disappointed, but I think we could make a great team. I have so many innovative ideas." "I'm sure you do," I said, stepping into the elevator. "Good luck implementing them." As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of Miranda and Lily standing together in the hallway, both looking confused and slightly panicked. Miranda was already pulling out her phone. The elevator descended, and with each floor I felt lighter. 6 years of swallowing my pride, 6 years of watching less qualified people get promoted over me, 6 years of being the invisible genius who made everyone else look good. That night, I moved into the guest bedroom. Miranda tried to talk, but I wasn't in the mood for conversation, especially not when her phone kept buzzing with messages she was obviously eager to read. "Neil, you're scaring me," she said, standing in the doorway in her silk pajamas. "This isn't like you. Maybe you don't know me as well as you think." "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked at her, really looked at her, still beautiful at 36, still the ambitious marketing executive I'd fallen in love with 7 years ago. But something had changed. The way she held her phone protectively, the way she avoided eye contact, the way she'd been working late more and more often. "It means I'm tired of being taken for granted," I said. "By your family, by the company, and apparently by my wife." She flinched at that last part. "Neil, I would never..." Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it instinctively, and I saw that flush again. That barely contained excitement. "You should answer that," I said. "Sounds important." She clutched the phone tighter. "It's nothing. Just Chloe gossiping about..." "Chloe texts you at 11 p.m. about gossip? She's going through a divorce. She needs someone to talk to." Maybe it was Chloe. Maybe I was being paranoid. But something in Miranda's voice, something in the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes, told me there was more to the story. "I'm going to sleep," I said. "We can talk tomorrow." But we didn't talk tomorrow. Miranda left early for a marketing strategy meeting, and I spent the day apartment hunting. By evening, I'd put a deposit down on a small one-bedroom place across town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I was packing when I found it. Miranda's gym bag was sitting by the bedroom door, ready for her evening workout. Or so she'd said. The zipper was slightly open and something was sticking out, something that looked like a phone, a second phone. My hands shook as I pulled it out. It was an iPhone, newer than the one she carried openly. The screen was locked, but notifications were visible. Adam, miss you already, beautiful. Adam, tonight was incredible. Adam, can't wait to tell you what your husband said in the meeting today. Adam Pierce, the innovation consultant with the Porsche and the smirk. I sat on the bed, staring at the phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. How long had this been going on? How long had I been the clueless husband while my wife screwed around with Charles's golden boy? The phone buzzed with a new message. Adam, your dad loves me more than Neil already. This is going to be easier than we thought. Easier than they thought. What was going to be easier? I scrolled through more messages, my anger building with each revelation. Miranda, he's so naive, still thinks he's irreplaceable. Adam, once Lily settles in, we can push him out completely. Your dad already agrees he's become a liability. Miranda, a liability? He built half the company. Adam, exactly, he knows too much. Better to cut ties now before he becomes a real problem. They'd been planning this. The promotion going to Lily, my marginalization, my eventual termination, all of it orchestrated by my wife and her lover with Charles's blessing. I took screenshots of everything. Every message, every photo, every piece of evidence of their betrayal. Then I carefully placed the phone back in the gym bag, exactly as I'd found it. When Miranda came home 2 hours later, flushed and slightly disheveled from her workout, I was sitting in the living room with a glass of whiskey. How was the gym? I asked casually. Good, really good. Great cardio session. She avoided eye contact, heading straight for the shower. I'm exhausted. I'll bet you are, I thought. That night, lying in the guest bed, I stared at the ceiling and planned my next move. They thought I was naive. They thought I was a liability they could easily dispose of. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, I called my friend Sam Patel. We'd known each other since college, and he now ran IT security for a mid-sized tech firm downtown. More importantly, he was one of the few people who understood both technology and human nature well enough to appreciate what I was dealing with. Neil, my friend, Sam's voice carried his usual dry humor. To what do I owe the pleasure of a 9 a.m. crisis call? I need your expertise on a delicate matter. Ah? The wife? Sam had never liked Miranda. He'd been polite at our wedding, charming at dinner parties, but I'd caught his skeptical looks when she talked about her vision for the company or her plans to elevate the brand. Sam saw through corporate speak like it was tissue paper. Among other things, can we meet for lunch? Absolutely. The usual place? The usual place was a small diner called Murphy's, tucked away in an industrial district where tech workers went to avoid their colleagues. The coffee was terrible, but the privacy was absolute. I arrived first and chose a corner booth where we could talk without being overheard. Sam showed up 10 minutes later, his dark hair slightly disheveled, wearing his standard uniform of jeans and a button-down shirt. You look like hell, he said, sliding into the booth. Marriage troubles or career troubles? Both. They're connected. I told him everything. The promotion going to Lily, my resignation, the discovery of Miranda's secret phone. Sam listened without interruption, his expression growing darker with each detail. Jesus, Neil, how long do you think this has been going on? Based on the message timestamps, at least 3 months, maybe longer. And they were planning to push you out anyway? Apparently. Adam thinks I'm a liability because I know too much about the company's technical infrastructure. Sam snorted. He's not wrong. You could probably bring down their entire operation if you wanted to. The thought had occurred to me. Please tell me you're not planning anything illegal. Nothing illegal, but nothing nice either. Sam leaned back, studying my face. What do you need from me? Information. Adam Pierce drives a 2019 Porsche 911. I need to know everything about him. Financial situation, background, weaknesses. I can do that. What else? Miranda's been working late a lot lately. Marketing strategy meetings and client dinners. I need to know where she's really been. That's going to require some creative investigation. I'm prepared to be creative. Sam grinned. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Now you're talking my language. Give me 48 hours. While Sam worked his magic, I focused on my own research. Charles Legrand had built his company through a combination of genuine business acumen and ruthless opportunism. He'd started with a small home security firm and expanded into smart home automation by acquiring smaller companies and absorbing their technology. My technology had been the crown jewel of his expansion. The algorithms I'd developed could integrate disparate smart home systems into seamless, user-friendly networks. Without my code, his products were just expensive toys. But Charles had made one crucial mistake. He'd been so focused on family loyalty and corporate politics that he'd ignored the legal fine print. My employment contract gave me ownership of anything I'd developed independently, and I'd been very careful to do most of my important work at home, on my own equipment, during my own time. I spent the next day documenting everything, every algorithm, every protocol, every piece of code that belonged to me. It was meticulous work, but it would be worth it when Charles realized how much of his empire was built on sand. Sam called on Thursday evening. "Your boy Adam is in deep trouble," he said without preamble. "Gambling debts, credit card maxed out, and he's been living way beyond his means. The Porsche is leased, the apartment is rented, and he owes about $80,000 to some very unfriendly people." Interesting. What about his background? Even better. He's been fired from his last 2 positions for sexual maltreatment. Nothing criminal, but HR complaints and quiet settlements. Charles either didn't do a background check, or he ignored the red flags. And Miranda? Your wife has been busy. 3 nights a week at the Marriott downtown, usually between 6 and 9 p.m. Always the same room, always paid for with a corporate credit card. The corporate credit card, of course. Charles was unknowingly funding his daughter's affair. "There's more," Sam continued. "I did some digging into the company's financials. They're not as solid as they appear. The smart home market is getting crowded, and without your innovations, they're going to struggle to compete. How long before they're in real trouble? 6 months, maybe less, especially if they lose their technical advantage, which they were about to do whether they realized it or not. Sam, I need one more favor. Name it. I want to visit the Marriott tonight." "Neil, that's a bad idea. If they see you, they won't see me, but I need evidence. Screenshots of text messages aren't enough. I need something that will hold up in court." Sam was quiet for a moment. "You're really going to war with these people?" "They started it when they decided I was expendable." "All right, but we do this smart. No confrontations, no drama. We get what we need and get out." The Marriott downtown was the kind of upscale business hotel that catered to corporate executives and wealthy travelers. The lobby was all marble and brass, designed to impress clients and justify expense accounts. Sam had done his homework. Room 1247 was registered to LeGrand Enterprises and had been booked every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 2 months. The corporate credit card on file belonged to Charles. We positioned ourselves in the lobby bar at 6:15, nursing overpriced drinks and pretending to discuss a business deal. The bar had a clear view of the elevators, and Sam had brought a camera with a telephoto lens. At 6:32, Miranda walked through the lobby doors. She looked stunning, as always. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, her business attire just professional enough to maintain plausible deniability. She moved with the confident stride of a woman who believed she was smarter than everyone around her. Adam arrived 7 minutes later, entering through a side door that connected to the parking garage. He was wearing an expensive suit and carrying a bottle of champagne. The smug expression on his face made me want to break something. They didn't acknowledge each other in the lobby, but they took the same elevator to the 12th floor. "Got them," Sam murmured, reviewing the photos on his camera. Clear shots of both arrivals, timestamps, everything. We waited another hour, documenting their departure. Miranda left first, looking satisfied and slightly disheveled. Adam followed 20 minutes later, his tie loosened and his hair mussed. "This is good evidence," Sam said as we walked to his car. "But it's still just an affair. Are you planning to divorce her?" "I'm planning something much more comprehensive than divorce." The next morning, I put phase 2 of my plan into motion. I'd spent years learning Adam's habits, watching him preen around the office like he owned the place. He arrived at work every day at exactly 8:30, parked his Porsche in the same spot, and spent the first hour of every day making personal phone calls and checking his investment portfolio. His Porsche was his pride and joy, a symbol of the success he'd never actually earned. It was also a smart car, connected to the internet and controlled by dozens of computer systems. Computer systems that could be hacked by someone with the right skills and motivation. I waited until he was safely in his office, then approached his car with a laptop and a device Sam had lent me. It looked like a standard OBD2 scanner, the kind mechanics use to diagnose engine problems. In reality, it was a sophisticated hacking tool that could access a car's computer network. The Porsche's security was impressive, but not impenetrable. It took me 23 minutes to gain access to its systems and upload my custom software. I didn't damage anything. I wasn't interested in causing an accident or putting anyone in danger. I was interested in humiliation. At exactly noon, when Adam would be leaving for his usual expensive lunch, my program activated. The Porsche's horn began blaring, "Shave and a haircut," in perfect rhythm. The headlights flashed in sync with the horn, and the car's display screen showed a single word in large, friendly letters. Loser. Adam came running out of the building, his face red with embarrassment and rage. A small crowd had gathered to watch the show, some of them recording with their phones. He fumbled with his key fob, trying to stop the display, but my program had disabled the remote functions. The horn continued its cheerful tune while the lights flashed and the screen cycled through various unflattering messages. Fraud, fake, daddy's boy. Security finally arrived and disconnected the car's battery, ending the show. Adam stood beside his silent Porsche, sweating through his expensive suit while his colleagues whispered and laughed. I watched from my office window, feeling a warm glow of satisfaction. It was a small victory, but it felt good to see Adam's arrogance deflated, even temporarily. My phone rang. Charles. "Neil, I need to see you in my office. Now." His tone was cold, authoritative, the voice of a man who was used to being obeyed without question. "I'll be right there," I said. Time for the next phase. Charles's office occupied the entire northeast corner of the building's top floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a panoramic view of the city. It was designed to intimidate. From the massive mahogany desk to the wall of awards and photographs, documenting his rise to power. He was standing with his back to the door when I entered, hands clasped behind his back, staring out at his corporate kingdom. "Close the door, Neil." I did, then took a seat in one of the leather chairs facing his desk. Charles remained standing, a classic power play meant to establish dominance. "We need to discuss your resignation," he said without turning around. "What's to discuss? It's effective immediately. The intellectual property clause in your contract. You can't seriously believe you own the core technology that runs this company." "I don't believe it, Charles. I know it. Every algorithm, every security protocol, every integration framework. I developed them at home, on my own time, using my own equipment. You can check the timestamps on the code if you want verification." He finally turned to face me, his expression a mixture of anger and disbelief. "You're being ridiculous. That technology was developed for this company, using knowledge gained from your employment here. Knowledge I brought with me when I was hired. Knowledge I've continued to develop independently." I leaned back in the chair, projecting calm confidence. "Face it, Charles. You got greedy and sloppy. You assumed family loyalty would trump legal contracts? Family loyalty?" He practically spat the words. "Is that what this tantrum is about? You're upset because Lily got the promotion?" "This isn't about Lily. This is about 6 years of being treated like hired help while less qualified people get promoted over me." "Less qualified? Lily has an MBA from Wharton. She understands business in ways you never will. She understands theory. I understand results. Without my technology, your smart home systems are just expensive paperweights." Charles moved to his desk, his movements sharp with controlled anger. "You're making a mistake, Neil, a big one. This company made you. Without our resources, our market position, your little algorithms would be worthless." "Then you have nothing to worry about, do you?" He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a legal document. "I've had our lawyers review your contract. They believe we can challenge your intellectual property claims in court. They're welcome to try. I have 6 years of documentation proving independent development. Timestamps, version histories, development logs, all created on my personal equipment outside of work hours. We'll see about that." He slid the document across the desk. "This is a cease and desist order. You're prohibited from using any technology that could be construed as derivative of your work here." I glanced at the document without picking it up. "Interesting legal theory. Unfortunately for you, it's backwards. You're prohibited from using technology derivative of my independent work, which, as I mentioned, comprises about 85% of your current product line." Charles's face was turning red. "You can't be serious." "Deadly serious. I'll be filing for immediate cessation of unauthorized use and demanding licensing fees for past usage. My lawyers estimate the damages at somewhere north of $12 million. That got his attention. Charles sat down heavily in his chair, the legal document forgotten. "12 million? Conservative estimate. We could argue for more considering the profits you've generated using my technology without proper compensation. Neil, let's be reasonable here. We're family. Surely we can work something out. Family. Now, I was family when he needed something from me. I tried to be reasonable for 6 years, Charles. I accepted lower salaries, longer hours, and less recognition because I thought family meant something. Then you promoted your unqualified niece over me and started planning to push me out entirely. His eyes narrowed. Who told you that? Does it matter? The point is, I'm not your loyal lapdog anymore. I'm a competitor. I stood up, straightening my jacket. You have 48 hours to respond to my licensing demands. After that, I'll assume you're choosing the litigation route. Neil, wait. His voice had lost its authoritative edge. Let's discuss this like adults. What do you want? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. You treated me like I was disposable, so now you get to find out what happens when you actually dispose of me. I walked to the door, then paused with my hand on the handle. Oh, and Charles, you might want to review your corporate credit card statements. Someone's been using company funds for unauthorized expenses. I left him sitting at his desk, staring at the legal document he'd tried to intimidate me with. The elevator ride down felt like a victory lap. For 6 years, I'd swallowed my pride and accepted Charles's condescension because I thought it was the price of family harmony. Now I understood that respect isn't given, it's taken. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam. Coffee shop on 5th Street, now important. I found him in a corner booth, looking unusually serious. We have a problem, he said as I sat down. Adam knows you were at the hotel. How? Hotel security cameras. He went back to review the footage after your little car prank this morning. He's got clear images of both of us in the lobby bar. My stomach dropped. What's he going to do with that information? I don't know, but he's been making calls all afternoon. Angry calls. This was bad. If Adam could prove I'd been stalking him and Miranda, it would undermine everything I was trying to accomplish. There's more, Sam continued. I've been monitoring some chatter in certain online communities. Adam's gambling debts are worse than I thought. He owes money to some very serious people and they're getting impatient. How impatient? The kind of impatient that involves broken bones if he doesn't pay up soon. I processed this information, looking for angles I could exploit. How much does he owe? $87,000 plus interest due in 2 weeks. And his current financial situation? Maxed out credit cards, no savings, and his salary barely covers his rent and car payments. An idea began forming in my mind. A risky idea, but potentially brilliant. Sam, I need you to do something that might be ethically questionable. My favorite kind of request. What do you need? I need you to make sure Adam's creditors know exactly how precarious his financial situation really is. Sam grinned. I can arrange for that information to reach the right people. Anonymously, of course. Of course! We spent the next hour planning the details. It was a delicate operation. Too much pressure and Adam might do something desperate. Too little and he'd find a way to weasel out of his problems. I was walking to my car when my phone rang. Miranda. Neil, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Can you come home? Home! The house we'd shared for 6 years, filled with memories of better times. The place where I discovered her betrayal. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I found her in the living room sitting on the edge of the couch with her hands folded in her lap. She'd changed out of her business attire into jeans and a sweater, trying to look casual and approachable. Daddy called me, she said without preamble. He told me about your meeting. I'm sure he did. Neil, this is insane. You can't seriously be planning to sue the company. Watch me. She stood up, pacing to the window. This isn't like you. You're not vindictive or cruel. You're reasonable, thoughtful. I'm tired of being reasonable while everyone around me acts like a selfish child. Everyone. Neil, we're your family. Are we? Because family members don't usually conspire to destroy each other's careers? She froze mid-step. What are you talking about? I'm talking about your boyfriend's plan to push me out of the company. I'm talking about months of secret meetings and private phone calls. I'm talking about your father's willingness to throw me under the bus to make room for his precious Adam. Miranda's face went pale. Neil, I don't know what you think you know, but I know about the hotel room, Miranda. Room 1247 at the Marriott, Tuesdays and Thursdays, paid for with your father's corporate credit card. She sank back onto the couch, her hands shaking. Oh God, how long has it been going on? Neil, please let me explain. How long? 4 months. Her voice was barely a whisper. It started at the company Christmas party. We were both drunk, and it just happened. And then it kept happening, twice a week for 4 months. I wanted to tell you, I tried to end it, but what? He was too good in bed, too exciting, too much of a real man compared to your boring husband. She flinched at the bitterness in my voice. It wasn't about you. It was about me, about feeling alive again. Feeling alive, right? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. And the plan to push me out of the company? Was that about feeling alive too? What plan, Neil? I swear, I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd taken from her secret device. Her face crumbled as she read Adam's messages about making me a liability, about pushing me out before I became a problem. I never agreed to any of that, she said, tears streaming down her face. I told him you were brilliant, that the company needed you. But you didn't tell him to stop, did you? You didn't end the affair when you realized what he was planning. She couldn't answer that. We both knew the truth. I want a divorce, I said quietly. Neil, please. We can work through this. Couples therapy, counseling. Miranda, you've been screwing another man for 4 months while planning my professional destruction. There's nothing to work through. I headed for the door, then stopped. Oh, and you might want to find a new hotel. The Marriott keeps very detailed security footage. I left her crying on the couch, feeling nothing but a cold satisfaction. The woman I'd loved for 7 years was gone, replaced by a stranger who betrayed everything we'd built together. But betrayal, I was learning, could be a powerful motivator. It was time to show them all just how powerful. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor to my new apartment. I was drinking coffee and reviewing legal documents when someone knocked on my door. Through the peephole, I saw Lily Legrand, looking nervous and out of place in the building's modest hallway. Neil, please, I need to talk to you, she said when I opened the door. About what? About the company, about my promotion, about everything that's happening. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She perched on the edge of my couch, fidgeting with her designer purse. Uncle Charles is panicking, she said. He spent all night on the phone with lawyers trying to figure out how to handle your intellectual property claims. And what did the lawyers tell him? That you're probably right, that the company could be in serious legal trouble. I poured myself another cup of coffee, not offering her any. Interesting. Neil, I need you to know, I never asked for this promotion. I wanted it, but I didn't know it was supposed to be yours. Uncle Charles made it sound like it was always meant for me. And you believed him? I wanted to believe him. I've been trying to prove myself in this family for years, and this felt like my chance. There was something almost pathetic about her confession. Lily had grown up in Charles's shadow, always the poor relation trying to earn approval from the family patriarch. What do you want from me, Lily? I want to make this right. I know I can't give you back the promotion. Uncle Charles would never allow that, but maybe we can work together. You could be my technical advisor, and I could make sure you get the recognition you deserve. Your technical advisor? Lily, I designed the systems you're supposed to be directing. I don't need to advise you, I need to replace you. Her face fell. Then what can I do? How can I fix this? You can't. This isn't about you anymore, it's about your uncle's decision to treat me like disposable help. But the company, if you take your technology, it could destroy everything Uncle Charles has built. That's the idea. She stared at me in shock. You really want to destroy the company? I want Charles to understand that actions have consequences. He chose to betray my loyalty, so now he gets to live with the results. Lily left looking defeated, and I felt a momentary pang of sympathy. She was collateral damage in a war between Charles and me, but that wasn't my problem. I hadn't started this fight. My phone rang an hour later. Sam. Phase 1 is complete, he said. Adam's creditors have been informed about his financial situation. They're not happy. How unhappy? Let's just say he's going to have a very uncomfortable conversation with some very unfriendly people in the next day or two. Good. What about the hotel footage? Taken care of. The security manager owed me a favor, and the footage from Tuesday night has mysteriously disappeared due to a technical malfunction. You're a lifesaver. I'm a criminal, but I'm your criminal. What's the next move? The next move was psychological warfare. I spent the afternoon crafting a presentation that would make Charles's worst nightmares come true. Using publicly available financial data, I created a detailed analysis of what would happen to his company without my technology. Market share would plummet within 6 months. Revenue would drop by 60% in the first year. Stock prices would collapse, and the company would likely be acquired by a competitor at a fraction of its current value. I sent the presentation to Charles at exactly 5 p.m. when he'd be getting ready to leave the office. The subject line read, "Your future without me." Then I waited. He called at 5:47 p.m. "You fool," he said without preamble. "This is extortion. This is business analysis. I thought you'd appreciate seeing the numbers." "What do you want, Neil? Money, recognition, your old job back?" "I want you to suffer the way you made me suffer. I want you to feel powerless and disposable." "I never made you feel—" 6 years, Charles. 6 years of being overlooked, undervalued, and taken for granted. 6 years of watching less qualified people get promoted over me because they were family or because they kissed your A more effectively. Neil, please, let's meet and discuss this like civilized people. Civilized people don't conspire to destroy their son-in-law's career. Civilized people don't fund their daughter's affair with corporate money. There was a long pause. "You know about Miranda and Adam." "I know everything. The hotel room, the text messages, the plan to push me out, all of it." "Neil, I swear I didn't know about their plan. If I had—" "You would have what? Stopped them?" "Charles, you created the environment where this could happen. You made it clear that family loyalty only flows one direction. What can I do to fix this?" "Nothing. It's too late for fixes." I hung up and poured myself a whiskey. Outside my apartment window, the city lights were beginning to twinkle in the gathering dusk. Somewhere out there, Charles was probably having a panic attack while Adam dealt with angry creditors, and Miranda tried to figure out how her perfect life had imploded so quickly. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Meet me at Murphy's Diner at 8 p.m. Come alone." Hey, Adam. This should be interesting. I arrived at Murphy's 15 minutes early and chose a booth near the back where I could see the entrance. Adam walked in at exactly 8 o'clock, looking haggard and desperate. His usual confident swagger was gone, replaced by the nervous energy of a man under pressure. He slid into the booth across from me, his eyes darting around the nearly empty diner. "You've been busy," he said. "I don't know what you mean." "Cut the crap, Neil. I know you've been digging into my finances, following me and Miranda, sabotaging my car. What do you want?" "I want you to leave town." He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Right. And why would I do that?" "Because your gambling debts are about to become a serious health hazard. Your affair with my wife is about to become public knowledge, and your career is about to implode spectacularly." "You can't prove anything about Miranda and me." I pulled out my phone and showed him one of the photos Sam had taken at the hotel. High-definition camera, perfect lighting, clear identification of both subjects. "Should I show you the rest?" His face went pale. "What do you want?" "I told you, leave town. Tonight, don't come back." "I can't just disappear. I have responsibilities, commitments. You have debts you can't pay and enemies you can't avoid. Leaving town isn't just my suggestion, it's your best chance of survival." Adam leaned back, studying my face. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" The great Neil Harper, finally getting his revenge. "I'm enjoying justice. There's a difference." "Justice? You're destroying innocent people's lives." "Innocent? Adam, you seduced another man's wife, conspired to destroy his career, and embezzled company funds to pay for hotel rooms. Which part of that sounds innocent to you?" He didn't have an answer for that. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to resign from the company, effective immediately. You're going to end your relationship with Miranda, and you're going to leave town before your creditors decide to make an example of you. And if I don't, then tomorrow morning Charles gets a detailed report about your gambling debts, your sexual maltreatment history, and your use of corporate funds for personal expenses. Miranda gets copies of all your text messages, including the ones where you call her husband a pathetic loser. And your creditors get your current address and work schedule." Adam's hands were shaking. "You're a real piece of work, you know that?" I learned from the best. He sat in silence for a long moment, weighing his options. Finally, he nodded. "Fine, I'll resign tomorrow and leave town by the weekend." "Tonight." "What?" "You'll resign tonight by email, and you'll be gone by morning." "That's impossible. I need time to pack, to arrange—" "Adam, let me be very clear about something. Your creditors aren't known for their patience. Word is, they're planning to visit you tomorrow to discuss your overdue payments. I'd hate for you to miss that conversation. The color drained from his face completely. How do you know about that? I know lots of things. The question is whether you're smart enough to act on the information I'm giving you. He pulled out his phone with trembling hands and began typing his resignation email. I watched him send it to Charles, then delete his corporate email account. There, he said. Happy now? Ecstatic. Have a safe trip, Adam. And remember, if you ever come back, if you ever contact Miranda again, if you ever even think about causing trouble for me or my family, I will make your current problems look like a minor inconvenience. He left without another word, practically running out of the diner. I finished my coffee and drove home, feeling a deep satisfaction. 1 down, 2 to go. My phone was ringing when I walked into my apartment. Miranda. Neil, what did you do? Adam just called me crying. He said he's leaving town, that you threatened him. I gave him some friendly advice about his career prospects. This is insane. You can't just terrorize people because you're angry about our marriage. I'm not terrorizing anyone. I'm simply ensuring that actions have appropriate consequences. What does that mean? It means your boyfriend is gone, Miranda. Permanently. And tomorrow, your father is going to have to explain to his board of directors why his innovation consultant disappeared in the middle of the night. You're destroying everything. No, Miranda. You destroyed everything when you decided to betray our marriage. I'm just cleaning up the mess. I hung up and poured another whiskey. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, I was going to savor my victory. Charles Legrand was about to learn that the king's reign was coming to an end. Charles called an emergency board meeting for Friday morning. I wasn't invited, of course, but Sam had cultivated a friendship with Janet Morrison, the company's chief financial officer, and she was more than happy to share the details with someone she trusted. It was a bloodbath, Sam told me over lunch. Charles tried to explain Adam's sudden departure as a strategic realignment, but the board wasn't buying it. Then Janet presented the financial projections showing what happens without your technology, and 3 board members started talking about replacing Charles as CEO. How did he react to that? About as well as you'd expect. He blamed you for everything, called you vindictive and unprofessional. Janet pointed out that vindictive or not, you still own the intellectual property that runs their company. What's their next move? Emergency damage control. They're trying to reverse engineer your algorithms, but their best estimate is 18 months minimum, and that's assuming they can find someone with your skills. They can't. I know that, and you know that, but Charles is desperate. He's authorized unlimited overtime and hired 3 consulting firms to work on the problem. I smiled. Let them waste their money. They're trying to recreate 6 years of work in 18 months, and they don't even understand the underlying architecture. Speaking of architecture, I have some interesting news about your father-in-law's financial situation. Oh? The company's stock price has dropped 12% since news of Adam's departure leaked. Charles owns about 40% of the outstanding shares, which means he's lost roughly $8 million in paper wealth in the past week. That's a good start. It gets better. The company has a major product launch scheduled for next month, a new smart home security system that relies entirely on your algorithms. Without your code, they'll have to delay the launch indefinitely, which will cost them how much? Conservative estimate, $15 million in lost revenue, plus another $10 million in development costs they can't recoup. $25 million. That was more damage than I'd hoped to inflict in such a short time. There's more, Sam continued. Miranda's been calling around, trying to find lawyers who specialize in intellectual property disputes. Apparently, she thinks she can challenge your ownership claims. On what grounds? Marital property. She's arguing that anything you develop during your marriage belongs to both of you, and since she's still employed by the company, your technology should remain available for their use. I laughed. That's not how intellectual property law works. I know that, but desperate people make desperate arguments. She's scheduled to meet with a lawyer on Monday. This was actually good news. If Miranda wanted to fight me in court, she'd have to explain her relationship with Adam, her father's funding of their affair, and the conspiracy to push me out of the company. All of that would become public record. Let her try, I said. I have 6 years of documentation proving independent development, plus evidence of corporate misconduct that would make any judge very sympathetic to my position. What about Charles? Any word on his next move? He's been calling me twice a day, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails. I I think he's finally starting to understand how much trouble he's in. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone rang. Charles. Neil, please, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Can we meet? Anywhere you want. Any terms you set. Why would I want to meet with you, Charles? Because I'm prepared to make you an offer that could solve this problem for both of us. I'm not interested in solving your problems. What about Miranda's problems? What about the company's employees who will lose their jobs if we go under? The guilt trip. Classic Charles, trying to make me responsible for the consequences of his own actions. Those people should have thought about job security before they let you promote unqualified family members over the person who actually built the company's core technology. Neil, please, 1 meeting, 1 hour. If you don't like what I have to say, you never have to see me again. I considered it. Charles was desperate enough to make significant concessions, and I was curious to see how far he'd go to save his empire. Fine, 1 hour. Murphy's Diner on 5th Street, tomorrow at noon. Thank you, Neil. I promise you won't regret this. I already regretted it, but sometimes you have to see your enemy's final move before you can deliver the killing blow. Charles arrived at Murphy's, looking like he'd aged 10 years in the past week. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, his expensive suit wrinkled, his silver hair uncombed. The confident corporate king had been replaced by a desperate old man. He slid into the booth across from me, his hands shaking slightly as he reached for the coffee menu. You look terrible, I said. I haven't slept in 3 days. The board is talking about forcing me out, the stock price is in free fall, and my daughter won't speak to me. Sounds like a personal problem. Neil, I need you to understand something. I never intended for any of this to happen. The promotion, the affair, Adam's plan to push you out. I was manipulated as much as you were. Manipulated by whom? Adam. He played me perfectly. He made me think you were becoming a liability, that you were planning to leave anyway, that promoting Lily would motivate you to work harder to prove yourself. And you believed him? He was very convincing, and I wanted to believe him because it made my decision easier. Charles pulled out a folder and placed it on the table between us. I've prepared an offer. I think you'll find it generous. I opened the folder and scanned the documents inside. Charles was offering me the position of Chief Technology Officer, a 50% salary increase, equity in the company, and a formal apology to be delivered at the next board meeting. This is impressive, I said. Unfortunately, it's also meaningless. What do you mean? I mean, you're offering me a position at a company that's about to collapse. Your stock price is falling, your product launch is delayed, and your board is planning a coup. Why would I want to be the CTO of a sinking ship? Charles leaned forward, desperation clear in his eyes. Because you could save the ship. With your technology and your expertise, we could recover from this. We could be stronger than ever. We could be, yes, but why would I want to save a company that treated me like garbage for 6 years? Because it's not just my company, Neil. It's Miranda's future, Lily's career, the livelihoods of 200 employees who've done nothing wrong. Miranda made her choice when she started sleeping with Adam. Lily made her choice when she accepted a promotion she didn't earn. And those 200 employees made their choice when they stood by and watched me get passed over again and again. So you're going to destroy all of them to get revenge on me? I'm not destroying anyone, Charles. I'm simply withdrawing my support from people who never supported me. Charles sat back, his face crumbling. What do you want from me, Neil? What would it take to end this? I studied his face, seeing the fear and desperation there. This was the man who treated me like a second-class citizen for 6 years, who'd funded his daughter's affair with company money, who'd conspired to push me out of the business I'd helped build. I want you to admit what you did, I said quietly. What? I want you to publicly admit that you treated me unfairly, that you promoted less qualified people over me, that you allowed your personal biases to override your business judgment. Neil, I can't. The board would never. Then we have nothing more to discuss. I started to stand, but Charles grabbed my arm. Wait, please. What if I stepped down as CEO? What if I made you my replacement? Now that was interesting. You'd give up control of your own company? If that's what it takes to save it, yes. I sat back down, intrigued despite myself. You'd really step aside and let me run the company? With conditions. I'd remain as chairman of the board, and I'd want guarantees about protecting the existing employees. What about Miranda and Lily? They'd have to earn their positions like everyone else. It was a tempting offer. To go from undervalued son-in-law to CEO in the span of a week would be the ultimate revenge. But there was something about Charles's desperation that made me suspicious. I need time to think about it, I said. How much time? 24 hours. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Charles nodded eagerly. Thank you, Neil. I know we can work this out. As I watched him leave the diner, I realized he was right. We could work it out, but not in the way he was hoping. I called Sam as soon as I got home. He offered to make me CEO, I told him. Holy crap. Are you going to take it? I'm going to let him think I'm considering it. Meanwhile, I need you to dig deeper into the company's financial situation. I want to know exactly how bad things really are. What are you planning? I'm planning the perfect ending to this story. Charles thinks he can manipulate me one more time, but he's about to learn that the student has surpassed the teacher. This is going to be good, isn't it? Sam, this is going to be legendary. The final act began on Monday morning with a phone call from Miranda's lawyer, a sharp-voiced woman named Patricia Hendricks who specialized in high-stakes divorce cases. Mr. Harper, I represent your wife in the matter of your pending divorce. We need to discuss the intellectual property claims you've made against Legrand Enterprises. What's to discuss? My client believes she has a legitimate claim to joint ownership of any technology you developed during your marriage. We're prepared to file a motion for temporary injunction to prevent you from licensing or selling that technology until the matter can be resolved in court. I almost laughed. Miranda was so desperate to save her father's company that she was willing to drag our divorce through the courts for years. Miss Hendricks, I assume you've reviewed the documentation of independent development? We have. However, we believe the marital property statutes supersede your employment contract provisions. Interesting legal theory. Unfortunately for your client, there's a problem with that argument, which is, the technology in question was developed before my marriage to Miranda. The timestamps on my original code date back 7 years. Miranda and I were married 6 years ago. There was a long pause. That's not possible. The company's products were launched after your marriage. The products were launched after my marriage. The core technology was developed before my marriage and then adapted for commercial use. Your client has no claim to intellectual property that predates her relationship with me. Another pause, longer this time. We'll need to verify those timestamps. Feel free. I have 7 years of version control logs, development notes, and even some old college projects that show the evolution of my algorithms. Your client is welcome to waste her money on a lawsuit she can't win. I hung up and immediately called Sam. How's our research coming along? Better than expected. Charles's company is in much worse shape than anyone realizes. They've been cooking the books for the past 2 years, inflating revenue figures and hiding development costs. How bad is it? Without your technology and the upcoming product launch, they'll be bankrupt within 6 months. The company's real value is about 30% of what the stock price suggests. Perfect. What about Charles's personal finances? Also interesting. He's been borrowing against his company's stock to fund his lifestyle. If the stock price drops below $15 a share, he'll face margin calls that could force him to sell his controlling interest. The stock was currently trading at $18 and falling. Charles was closer to personal bankruptcy than he realized. Sam, I need you to prepare a comprehensive report on the company's real financial situation. Include everything. The cooked books, the hidden debts, the overvalued assets, all of it. What are you planning to do with that information? I'm going to give Charles exactly what he deserves. That afternoon, I called Charles and agreed to meet him at his office to discuss his CEO offer. He sounded relieved and excited, probably thinking he'd successfully manipulated me one more time. The Legrand Enterprises building looked the same from the outside, but I could feel the tension as soon as I walked through the lobby. Employees huddled in small groups, whispering about layoffs and corporate restructuring. The receptionist barely looked up when I announced myself. Charles's office felt different too. The confident authority that had once radiated from every corner was gone, replaced by the desperate energy of a man fighting for his survival. Neil, thank you for coming. I've been thinking about our conversation, and I believe I can sweeten the offer. Oh? In addition to the CEO position, I'm prepared to give you a 20% equity stake in the company. That would make you the second largest shareholder after me. That's very generous, Charles. I want you to know how serious I am about making this right. I sat down across from his desk and pulled out the folder Sam had prepared. Before we discuss your offer, I think you should see this. Charles opened the folder and began reading. I watched his face change as he processed the information. Confusion, disbelief, and finally, horror. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. "Does it matter? The question is whether it's accurate." He couldn't deny it. Every number, every hidden debt, every inflated revenue figure was documented with meticulous precision. "Neil, you have to understand, we were planning to correct these discrepancies once the new product launched. The revenue projections justified the accounting adjustments." "The revenue projections that depended on my technology?" "Yes, but the technology you no longer have access to because you decided to betray me." Charles set the folder down with shaking hands. "What do you want?" "I want justice, Charles. Real justice." "What does that mean?" I pulled out a second folder, this one containing legal documents I'd had prepared by my own lawyer. "It means I'm buying your company." "What?" "I'm making a formal offer to purchase Legrand Enterprises for $12 million. That's approximately 40% of the current market valuation, but given the company's real financial situation, it's actually quite generous." Charles stared at the purchase agreement in shock. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. I've arranged financing through a private equity firm. The deal can close within 30 days. "But this is my company. I built this from nothing." "You built it using my technology, Charles. Without my algorithms, your smart home systems are worthless. Without my innovations, your company has no competitive advantage. You didn't build this company. I did. The board will never approve this sale. The board will approve whatever keeps them from going to prison for securities fraud. When the SEC starts investigating your accounting practices, they'll be happy to find a buyer willing to assume the company's liabilities." Charles looked like he was about to have a heart attack. "You're destroying everything I've worked for." "I'm correcting a historical injustice. For 6 years, you treated me like hired help while I built your empire. Now you get to watch me take control of what was always rightfully mine." "What about Miranda? What about Lily? What about the employees?" "Miranda can find another job. Lily can go back to whatever she was doing before you gave her a promotion she didn't earn. And the employees can work for me instead of you." "You'd really do this? You'd really destroy a family over a promotion?" "Charles, you destroyed our family when you decided my loyalty was worthless." "I'm just making sure the consequences match the crime." I stood up and headed for the door. "You have 48 hours to respond to my offer. After that, I'll assume you're choosing bankruptcy over buyout." "Neil, wait, please, there has to be another way." There was another way. It was called treating me with respect and recognizing my contributions. You chose a different path. I left him sitting at his desk, staring at the purchase agreement that would end his reign as corporate king. 2 days later, Charles called to accept my offer. The closing took place 3 weeks later in a downtown law office. Charles looked like a broken man as he signed the documents transferring control of his company to me. Miranda wasn't there. She'd moved back to her mother's house and wasn't speaking to anyone in the family. Lily tried one last appeal as we left the lawyer's office. "Neil, please, can't we work together? I know I made mistakes, but I'm willing to learn." "Lily, your biggest mistake was thinking you deserved something you hadn't earned. I'm not interested in teaching you how to do the job that should have been mine from the beginning." "So, what happens to me?" "You're welcome to apply for any position you're actually qualified for. I hear the marketing department needs an assistant." She walked away in tears, but I felt no sympathy. Actions have consequences, and she was finally learning what her actions had cost. 6 months later, I stood in the same corner office where Charles had once held court, looking out at the city skyline. The company was thriving under my leadership. The stock price had recovered, and we'd successfully launched 3 new products based on my innovations. Miranda had moved to another state and filed for divorce in a jurisdiction she thought would be more favorable to her claims. Her lawyer was still fighting the intellectual property battle, but they were losing badly. The prenuptial agreement she'd insisted on 6 years ago was protecting my assets quite effectively. Adam had disappeared completely. Sam's sources suggested he'd fled to Mexico to avoid his creditors, but I didn't really care. He was no longer my problem. Charles had taken a job as a consultant with a smaller firm, making a fraction of his former salary. His margin calls had forced him to sell most of his remaining stock, leaving him with just enough money to maintain a modest lifestyle. The perfect revenge, I reflected, wasn't about destroying your enemies. It was about taking everything they'd tried to deny you and making it your own. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam. "Drinks tonight to celebrate the quarterly earnings report?" "Absolutely," I replied. "We have a lot to celebrate." As I packed up my briefings and prepared to leave my office in my company, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. 6 years of being undervalued and overlooked, followed by 6 months of methodical revenge. Charles had taught me an important lesson about power. It's not given, it's taken. And once you take it, you make sure nobody can ever take it away from you again. I walked out of the building into the evening sunshine, the king of my own empire at last.